as you know, Don DePerro is the CEO and executive director of our Columbus Chamber. Before that, does anybody know where Don was before he was at the Chamber? Business First, that's right. He was there for a long time. He has a wife and some children, including one Buckeye, and they live in Dublin. So that's his bio. Now the good stuff. Don likes the city of Buffalo. Buffalo has a good football team that just can't quite get all the way to the finish line, but they're good. That was one recommended introduction of Don. Another was, I've known Don forever. He's been on the chamber board for 7 years. Don took an organization that was struggling. He completed an amazing turnaround. The chamber has a great team. The membership is up by a huge margin. The programming has evolved to really meet the needs of the small business members. Approximately 60% of the chamber members have less than 50 employees and use the chamber resources for workforce, innovation, networking, consulting on key issues, health insurance, etc. So that was nice to hear.
I owe that person a check.
Yes. Then we have a tidbit about Don that I thought was interesting. When Don meets you or introduces you, he likes to say your full name. So I'm not Mike, I'm Mike Schettinger. But Don is known for saying your name at the beginning and the end of every sentence. So today, Don DePerro,
Mike
thank you for
Schettinger.
being at Columbus Rotary. It's good to have you here, Don DePerro.
Thank you, Mike Schettinger.
And I won't even mention the part about combing your hair on every tee of the chamber golf outing. We'll just leave that one out of the introduction.
It's a tick I have. It's a tick. I comb it while I have it.
All right.
When it goes, I won't be able to comb it anymore.
Well, let's get down to the good stuff. Don, tell us about the Columbus Chamber. What's going on at the Columbus Chamber?
Oh, we're doing great. Thank you, Mike, for that wonderful introduction.
Not Mike Schettinger.
Michael,
Right.
What's your middle initial?
Mm-hmm.
Michael. It's going really well. Yes, I'm flattered and honored. I was at president and publisher of Business First for 20 years. I just had my 20th anniversary, and with the parent company, 32 years in 4 different cities. And I think they had another move. And we're Columbus people now, and our 2 sons are here. Our daughter's in Toledo. I didn't really have it in me to go fix another business publication, and this was, to my understanding, becoming available. And a mutual friend, Jeff Sopp, Brian Tierney, who was then the CFO of American Electric
AEP.
Power,
Yep.
and now he runs First Energy. He's got his hands full there.
Yeah.
And the third person was Deloitte's
John McEwen.
John McEwen, Deloitte's managing director, who was the chamber's board chair, came to me and asked me if I'd like to come run the Chamber of Commerce. And you never know what you're getting yourself into, you know. But said yes, and it's been wonderful. First day, we had 1,288 members, and we just broke 2,300. So
more than doubled.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if you're aware, but most organizations that are member-based are not thriving. Most organizations are struggling, and membership declines. So for someone, that is the unicorn. That is incredible.
Thanks. Michael Schettinger.
How did you do it? I mean, if you go up 10%, we're happy. How do you double membership?
A couple of things. As you said earlier, overwhelmingly, most of our members are fewer than 50 employees. We're an organization of small and mid-sized companies. And, I liken this, and looking at this mature audience, which warms my heart, we remember the old Ed Sullivan routine, right? The plate spinners. Remember? And the plate would start wobbling at the end, and the guy would run down and get that one spinning again, and then the one on the other end would start wobbling. And it's kind of like running a Chamber of Commerce is kind of like being one of those plate spinners. So you need about 8 or 10 different things one of the big things is affinity partnerships, meaning discount programs. So we have a great small group health insurance plan. If you have fewer than 50 employees, it's great. It's with Medical Mutual of Ohio. We partner with the Cleveland Chamber and the Toledo Chamber, so it's statewide. And we literally have hundreds of members in that now. And we have a discount workers' comp plan. We have a discount office supplies and office products program, a discount credit card processing. Almost anything you need to run your business, we have. And you know, they're group programs, so you get the economies of scale. You have hundreds of members in it. The price comes down, becomes less expensive. And we're about to launch a MEPS. It's a multiple employer 401k plan, because so many of our small members don't have retirement plans, and it's a great way to keep your employees. So we'll be launching a group 401k plan shortly.
Nice. I have a suggestion for a group member perk: discount on gasoline.
It's a great idea. We're actually looking at travel and a couple of other things, but that's a great idea.
I mean, 10 cents
I thought
off
he
a
was going to
gallon?
say discount funeral home
Yeah,
services.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Pay in advance.
Well, what do you think are some of the major changes that you've made? I mean, you talked about the benefits, the affinity programs. What are some of the other changes that your team has made over the last 7 years? That you've
It
been there?
really has been a team effort. We needed to raise more money, so we had to work on revenue. We had to work on events. We had to work on membership because we were understaffed and underpaid. The team was really underpaid, really underpaid. And I mean, I think of we've made some great hires. Our vice president of marketing was one of the top marketing people, Hope Cotter from the Columbus Dispatch. Our vice president of diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, I borrowed her from NiSource. I mean, she was the chief diversity officer at NiSource. And
You
on
borrowed
and
her,
on.
meaning you have to give her back?
No, I'm not giving her back.
Okay.
But you know, our 6 vice presidents are very, very talented. I mean, our VP of finance is a CPA, and I thought that was really, really important to have, more than just a bookkeeper. You know, someone who could really look out the windshield and tell us where we're going. So people, it's no secret, right? We all work hard on, and it's far more expensive to attract, hire, and retain people today than it was even just 8 years ago. A lot more expensive. So we've worked really hard. I mean, the VP of marketing is making twice as much as what they were being paid 7.5 years ago. It's what you have to do, right? So
That's great. Are you? Tell me how you're handling the virtual work thing. And you know, a lot of people are probably starting to struggle with, gosh, I let them all go, but you know, I want them back, and they don't want to come back. What's your policy, and how are you handling that?
So we were one of the last ones to kind of go out. We thought it was important for the chamber, and we're all in the Lazarus building, the old Lazarus department store. We're on the 2nd floor, and they've done a magnificent job, the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, of renovating that building and keeping us all together. Franklin County's Economic Development Department is in there, the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, Chamber, the partnership, One Columbus, we're all together. And we thought we needed to set the precedent of being downtown. We're the Chamber of Commerce. You don't want to be a virtual Chamber of Commerce. You want to be an in-person Chamber of Commerce. So we've developed a hybrid system. We're hybrid on Mondays and Fridays. The office is always open, so our associates can go in any time. But we're in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And you know, especially, we only have like 25, 26 full-time employees, but we have 5 generations at the Chamber. 5 generations are represented at the Chamber of Commerce, which is amazing when you think of that. From college graduates to late 60s. So, so we're hybrid. It's really working. I think, you know, you hear, and I'll say this quickly, but you hear of all these mental health issues, especially with young people. I think collegiality is important. I think we have to be together. I mean, they love the hybrid thing. They like being able to throw in a load of laundry or walk their dog, but there's nothing like us being together, right? And having that tactile workforce.
That's great. What are some of the ways that the Chamber is interacting with the community that maybe you didn't do 8 years ago?
We've really amped up our programming and our events, and they're two different things. So we have workshops. We have workshops on talent, hiring, really important. Those things we kept in person, and through the pandemic, we were getting over 100 people to attend. We call it the Experience Series, and they're at the accounting firm of GBQ hosts them. They're quarterly. But, you know, I don't have to tell you what's going on with workforce and talent and hiring people. It's a nightmare. So we're working really, really hard. What we're trying to do is provide resources to small businesses that they can't do on their own. They don't have the inclination, the time. You know, a lot of our members don't have one human resources employee. They outsource their HR or whatever. So recruiting, and they can't really afford to hire a recruiter, but where do they go to identify talent? So we're really focused on that. We're focused on a number of areas to supplement the skills that most small businesses really don't bring to the table themselves.
So do you have an HR person that's like a resource to me, that if I needed a job description or a performance evaluation, I call you and you send me a template? Is it like that?
That's a great question. We could provide that to you, but we have a vice, her name is Kelly Fuller. She's the Vice President of Talent and Workforce Development. She came from the Eastland Fairfield Career Technical School, and I wanted that because she ran all the adult education programs and all the non-traditional programs. I wanted someone who could educate or help educate, knew all of the workforce programming in the community, and then could help place. So she works with Tolles and Eastland Fairfield, as well as Columbus State and Ohio State and all the universities. We're focused on 6 different areas. I won't get into them, but 6 different areas. Many of them are underserved populations. So we're about to hit 2.4 million people in our 11-county region, 2.4. Over 200,000 were born outside of the United States. Almost 10% of our population was born outside of the United States. So we're working with the Bhutanese population and the Somali population and all the other internationally born population to help place them. Major source of our truck drivers right now are Somali men. Literally hundreds of Somali men are truck drivers in our community, and we support these efforts to help fill these positions.
Wow, didn't know that. That's great. Well, I would say, why should you join Rotary? But you already have the Rotary name tag on. There's a couple members in our audience that are always recruiting our speakers to be members, but we already got Don.
Yes.
My question is the opposite. Why should a Rotarian join the Columbus Chamber if they're not a member?
Thank you, Michael Schettinger. Well, you know, this isn't, I guess I'll have to put something in the, do they still fine? First of all, we do a lot of different things. You know, we have the networking. We brought back Business After Hours, if any of you remember, and it's a fellow Rotarian sitting in the back who told me he created them as a chamber employee in 1981.
And he's wearing the shirt from
And
the
he's
day
wearing
he
his
worked
chamber,
there.
stand up.
Yeah,
Will you?
Stand up, Rick Studer.
That is his T-shirt from being a Columbus Chamber of Commerce employee in the early 1980s, which is incredible.
I'll give 10 happy bucks to anybody who could sing.
I can sing
even
it.
one, no, 2 lines from.
The chamber theme song
Oh my
from 40
gosh.
years ago.
Oh, wait. For those,
All right.
for those on Zoom, yeah, we have somebody
Uh-oh.
willing to sing the song from
Holy
1981.
smoke. This is true. The chamber created a theme song to help promote the community 40 years ago.
No, this is his T-shirt. Columbus, Columbus, we're making it great. Columbus, Columbus, the star of the state. Columbus, it's great to live in Columbus. We're really proud, gonna shout it out loud for Columbus.
Woo-hoo!
We're making it great.
That was. Wow.
Here, I think we have a new membership salesperson.
Yeah.
We've got a new, we have an opening for a membership salesperson. I think we've got a new membership salesperson for the Columbus Chamber of Commerce.
Rick, I don't want
I've got a
the-
business card for you.
I don't want
if you
that
need it.
$10 to go to the club. I think the $10 needs to go to Molly.
Yeah.
That, anybody that can do that,
That
wow,
was
that's
great.
courageous. And you know what? Give yourself $10, Rick, because anyone that can fit in a shirt that they fit into in 1981 is also an impressive accomplishment. I think I weighed 100 pounds back then. Well, as you know, economic development is the hot buzz topic in Columbus. Some people have invested significant resources. We've had lots of them come and speak to us. And there's so many we don't even know about. I mean, there's just, in the old days, 10, 20, 30, $40 million projects were huge, and now they don't even make the top 10. What's the Chamber's role been in that?
That's a great question. I like to think of us as much of a retention organization. The United States Small Business Administration says 65%, nearly 2 out of 3 new jobs are created by small businesses, which is our membership. Now, our members aren't going to pay the Intel rate, which, Intel's, you had a speaker several months ago, right? Intel's average pay will be $135,000 when they open up in another few years. But, these are important jobs. And these aren't just retail. We're actually not big in retail. We're big in professional services firms, smaller professional services firms. The regional banks. We have all the big guys. They're all chamber members, of course, but we've got a lot of the smaller, the banks, accounting firms, law firms, insurance, IT, and the chamber gives them a place. I like to call, when I came to the chamber, I said, we're town center for the business community. We're the convener for the business community. We bring people together. And so we're a great place to network, especially for smaller and mid-sized companies, but we have everybody. The big companies like us because our companies, our members, are their vendors, their suppliers, and their customers. So those are our focus areas, hence why we wanted, our members came back downtown before anybody else did. The big companies get the attention, and that's understandable, but our companies really never left downtown. They stayed, they kept their offices open. They continued to work. So, it's our membership that's really the backbone of the business community.
I agree. What do you think are our biggest challenges that we are going to have in
Where's
the next
Joanne?
5 years? Is Joanne Shorston here?
Here's Joanne. This is Joanne's question. She's in Italy.
A phone-in
Very
question
nice,
from
Joanne.
Italy.
Sure. Make me answer the questions and then leave town, Joanne. When I was announced, she said, I want you to talk about what the biggest challenges are the community faces. And she said, give us 3, and I came up with 4. The first one, by far, and this is a national competition we're in. We are in a war with every city in the United States for talent, for workforce. Mm-hmm. If we're going to keep our companies going, we're going to have the best trained, the highest quality, most qualified workforce. And that's going to be the difference maker for Columbus moving forward. And that doesn't necessarily mean they need an advanced degree or a 4-year degree, but certificate programs, skilled labor, our trades, our skilled trades. You ever know if you wake up some morning and get 2 inches of water in the basement, how hard it is to find a plumber, right? We need strong, skilled tradespeople in our community. So, we even at the chamber, we don't look at the AFL-CIO as they're a partner. They're a partner. We need our labor unions. They do a lot of the training, especially for the skilled trades. So talent and workforce is critical because we have a lot of, you'll hear skills gap. You'll hear skills gap, that there just aren't enough skilled people to take the jobs, to fill the jobs that are open. I also think my second one is affordability. Michael Schettinger. We've got to be careful because I think the pandemic gave a lot of people the opportunity to raise prices significantly. They used the supply chain and distribution woes that we faced as an opportunity to raise prices. And a lot of those prices haven't come back down to earth yet, So we have to make sure, I don't look at Columbus as, I don't want us to be a cosmopolitan city or an international city. We should focus on being the country's most livable city. Let's, I like being able to get in a car and drive 5 minutes to go to my Kroger or my giant eagle. I like, it's a world of convenience now. And we need to emphasize that. We can't lose what we have here in Columbus. Convenience, hospitality, warmth, great people. Affordability is really important, really important. I cringe for our 3 kids and what they're, our oldest just got engaged, and his fiance bought a house in Old Sawmill, right? So it's east of Sawmill, it's north of north of 270.
Just south of Powell Road.
And it's the address is the city of Columbus, Worthington Schools, Dublin mailing address. It's in the city of Columbus, it's Worthington Schools,
Yeah.
Dublin mailing address. They had to bid. It's a nice home. It was listed for $425. They bid $460, $35,000 over, with these 6% interest rates. They got it, and it's a nice home, but it's 38 years old. It's getting really expensive to live here. And I think we need to be really careful about that and do what we can do to keep Columbus as affordable as possible. Third one, I'll go
funny story
really.
I'll add to that. My son graduated a year ago from college, got an apartment in Clintonville, and his 1 year is up for his lease, and they just told him it's a $200 rent increase. I think it was $1,400 going to $1,600, and he is looking for another place to live. I'm like, you're not going to find another $1,400 because everyone else went. It's supply and demand. We have more people moving into Columbus than we have housing units being built, and he loves where he's at. And I'm like, it's $200. Suck it up. But they don't want to.
I think I just heard through Morpsey, I think it's 19 or 29. Am I going to screw this up? I think net 19 a day. So every day we add 19 residents to the Columbus region.
Yeah.
Net. So that's in and out. So
Sorry to interrupt. Number
third
3.
one is downtown. Very concerned about downtown. The chamber will always be downtown for as long as I'm around. Nationwide, and they're one of our biggest benefactors. Nationwide means everything to our Columbus Chamber, but they just recently announced that they're going to consolidate into 2 buildings downtown. Well, they have 5 buildings. So you can't turn all of that into condos and apartments, What are we going to do? I think I've got some ideas. I think there are a lot of ideas out there. But I think we have to create areas for small businesses like incubators. Sometimes they call them accelerators. We have to look at incubator space for small businesses and emerging businesses. We have to look at accelerators. We just can't have all retail, and we have to continue to bring people downtown. But we're facing some real challenges, just like every other city. But, that's 3 buildings that Nationwide's planning to vacate, and that's happening with a lot of our big companies, and they can't all be converted to housing. So move a little group of your employees downtown. And if you talk to the economic development folks at One Columbus, there are no office relocations to be found in the United States. Everything's either industrial, manufacturing, but light manufacturing, IT, technology. There are no offices. I know one city that lost a multi-billion-dollar relocation. They're going to have a huge corporate relocation, and they said, you know what? We're going to go 100% virtual. Sorry, Columbus, you can keep the deposit. Or it was Charlotte, North Carolina, actually, where I used to live. So, and the fourth, and this one's a little esoteric. Things are really good here, despite everything I just said as your chamber CEO. We can't be overconfident. We can't be arrogant. We can't get complacent. This is a daily struggle. It's a daily, just like what I tell our team, growing membership. Every day, every day, every day. We really have to stay with it, keep at it, market this community, tell everybody how great it is. But we can't, sure, we have to celebrate our victories, but you can't get arrogant or complacent or overconfident. It's a battle out there, and we have to keep battling.
Yeah, well said. You mentioned earlier, everyone's heard diversity, equity, inclusion, and then you added an A at the end there, which I had to look up when you first told me about it. So now it's DEIA. Right. Tell me what the chamber is doing about that in our region.
So we've been working on this. I've been working with the Columbus Urban League on a program because, I did a deep dive into our membership when I came on 7 years ago, and, most of the owners looked like me, right? Middle-aged white men. We had a fair amount of women-owned businesses, which we've improved dramatically. But when it came to diversity, we weren't doing a good job. So I had met with Stephanie Hightower, one of our president of the Urban League, and we had started working on something which has culminated into the Urban Business Connection. And we now have, the City Council funded it, thank you to our great City Council, and we've created these enhanced memberships with a lot of mentoring and a lot of support. If any of you'd like to mentor a black-owned business, let me know. We started with 35 companies, then we went to 75, now we have 100. And we have 100 black-owned businesses. And these are, I'm going to try to keep it, you can cut me off, 2 quick anecdotes. One gentleman, his name's Douglas Buckley. He has a company, Black Kawaha Coffee. He imports coffee beans from Tanzania. He had never met Greg Hubert, who sits on our board of directors. Greg is the owner of Crimson Cup Coffee and Tea, which has an R&D facility on Alum Creek Drive. Greg Hubert researches how to roast coffee beans to elicit different flavors. And Doug said, I've never met Greg. I said, easy introduction. Greg asked Doug, when's the next time you're going to Tanzania? Greg sends his head roaster with Douglas Buckley to Tanzania. Crimson Cup Coffee and Tea is the largest distributor of coffee beans to independent coffee houses in the United States. Now, Greg has donated dock space in New Jersey. They're importing Tanzanian coffee through Black Kawaha Coffee. They've signed a multi-year 5- and 6-figure contract, and now Crimson Cup Coffee and Tea is distributing Tanzanian coffee to independent coffee houses all over the country. There's one anecdote from the Urban Business Connection. Another one, real quick, is a fintech, a woman in financial technology who had an idea to create an app to teach middle schoolers and high schoolers fiscal responsibility, teach them how to budget. And she couldn't get any bank to bank her because to create this app, we're talking close to $200,000. She couldn't get any bank to step up. We said, do you know that there's a great, Southwestern City Schools has a great IT program? So we made the introduction. Tiffany Marr is her name, Tiffany Marr. Company's name is Wembler, W-E-M-B-L-R. And we met with the class of students, like 15, 20 kids, high school kids, with their professor, and the professor, after the meeting, said, well, we have this semester's project. We're going to build an app for Tiffany and for Wembler. And the kids immediately suggested that it can't be an app. It's got to be a game. We'll download it like an app, but it's got to be a game. You got to be able to play it every day. This was going on during the pandemic. The kids built in recognition, so because it was during the pandemic, all these mental health issues. So if the user was having a bad day, it said, the game will say, it looks like you're not having a good day. Sign off. Go hang out with your friends today. Come back tomorrow. Saved her $200,000. We've got the beta program. We had the rollout at Southwestern City Schools. They also have a culinary school. The kids cooked all the food. We had a great afternoon, press conference, and we rolled out this beta program. And we're closing in, we thought we were close to having a major financial institution sponsor it for significant dollars. But we have a game to teach middle schoolers, all kids, not just underprivileged kids or less advantaged, how to save their money, how to budget their money. So those are 2 of our great success stories from the Urban Business Connection.
That's really cool. I would love to have Junior Achievement find out about that app, because that's what they do, is fiscal responsibility.
We'll make that connection. We'll absolutely make that connection with Tiffany.
And Columbus Rotary used to have a minority mentoring program years ago. I mean, I'm going to say 10 years ago. But we've done a veterans mentoring program. We've done a minority mentoring program. We've done lots of different things. But there might be a way for us to help mentor some of those 100
That's great.
minority
We'd
businesses.
welcome it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So we'll have to find someone to help follow up with that. Last question, then we'll open it up to the audience is, so what's coming up in the next 5 to 10 years for the chamber? What are your goals? What are
Well, in
your
5 years, I'll be
critical-
70, so it'll be
All right.
happening without me. I've been debating, it's really early, this is very early, but I do have one legacy wish for our team, and I'm starting to work with Kelly Fuller, who is our wonderful Vice President of Talent and Workforce Development. But before I step away, and I promise Tony Rosilli, our board chair, your good friend, I want to, my legacy project is going to try to create a comprehensive, thorough workforce development ecosystem, if you will, for small businesses. So our small business owners aren't falling all over themselves trying to find people because they pay $20,000 less than their mega competitor. So we want to, I've already talked to Dave Harrison at Columbus State, but it's not just going to be Columbus State. It'll be the Toll School and Eastland Fairfield, the technical schools. It'll be certificate programs as well as associate degrees and graduate degrees, as well as, kids who are coming right out of high school who don't want to go to college. We need skilled trades. I'll try to make this real quick. Honda did an amazing thing because Rosilli built this project, and it's been in existence for several years now. Honda bought the original middle school in Marysville. It was vacant. They bought the original middle school. They built it like part of their plant, and they're recruiting high school kids from the region who don't want to go to college, and they go there and they get a certificate, but they train, and they pick the best training Honda managers to manage this. And they're plucking kids out of Marysville schools, even some Dublin schools, rural school districts, and these kids are coming out, and within 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, they're going right to work at the Honda plant. They're making $75,000, incredible benefits, retirement plans, and everything. That's an innovation. That's how companies need to innovate moving forward. They're creating their own workforce. So I want to work on that. If any of you would like to join me, it's not going to be easy, but I want to create an ecosystem where our small businesses aren't retiring out of work because the owner's fed up with trying to fill all of their job vacancies. We've got companies who tell us that every day. I'm just selling my company. If I can't find a buyer, I'm just going to close the doors, help my employees find something else because they're tired. They can't find people.
Does the chamber have a job bank or anything?
We
that
do.
helps
We have
people?
a free, if you go to columbus.org, very easy, columbus.org, we have a great website, And we're creating a database, and it's free, of minority-owned companies. So international-owned, black-owned, Hispanic-owned. We want to create we're in the process of creating a minority supplier program. We're also going to lobby and try to get tax credits. So if you're a majority business owner, if you're white, and you say, I'm just throwing this out, it's in the early stages, I'll dedicate 20% of my expense budget to minority-owned businesses, and that includes women-owned businesses. Women-owned businesses, black, Hispanic, if we're going to find tax credits to make it worthwhile for you to create a minority supplier program at your company and reap tax benefits from it. So,
Wow.
good stuff.
Yeah, it would be great. A few minutes left. Questions from the audience? Callaway.
Michael Seninger, Donald DePerro, you did a marvelous job. Questions are going to be for our fellow Rotarian speaker. Pay attention to it. I'm Thomas Callaway Middleton Robertson III. So Donald DePerro, I have two easy questions for you. One test your short-term memory, one test your long-term. Short-term memory question is, what are you doing on Friday afternoon, September 22nd? Long-term question is, what did I do to get you recruited back into Rotary after you'd taken a hiatus for a while?
No, I'm still Rotarian. I'm a virtual Rotarian. I never left. I pay my dues, and I apologize, but since we're virtual, I've been making the Dublin to downtown commute for nearly 28 years. And my wife keeps moving us farther north. 3 houses. It was 22 miles it was 21 miles one way, then 22, now almost 23. So I do respectfully relish my Mondays and Fridays. and just not having to drive downtown. But I'm a virtual member. I've stayed a virtual
has, he's
member.
been on.
I sneak in. I don't identify myself. I won't. You'll see on my business card, if you see some funny number, that's me sneaking into the meetings, and I do attend probably more than you think. So I will not give up my Rotary membership, and I'll try my best to come downtown a little bit more since you're in this wonderful Catholic church, which would warm my late mother and father's heart.
He wants to know if you want to play golf on September.
So that's the day after our 99th clam bake. Shameless plug. 99 years the Chamber's been doing the clam bake and lobster feast. It's at the zoo.
Well, you can spend the night up there because we're playing at Safari,
Yes,
which
playing
is
at
right
Safari.
down the street.
I'm in.
Right.
Put me in your foursome.
All right.
Callaway,
Next-
if you're buying, I'll be there.
Next question, Hugo.
Don, welcome back. Good to see you. When you were at Business First, you started an advisory board program, which is really good. Are you planning on doing anything like that?
That's a great question.
Let me repeat the question for the people on Zoom.
So
Go ahead.
I launched something called the Business First Advisory Board Exchange, and we created advisory boards for emerging growth companies. I've actually talked to my successor, Nick Fortini, about that. I hired Nick as my advertising director, and he succeeded me, and he's doing an unbelievable job. But it's a great question. It was really cool, and I don't know if any of you in the room took advantage of that, but we created free advisory boards for emerging growth companies. And we're not talking about 7 or 8 people, 3 people. You know, oftentimes they needed business development. The most popular things, they needed business development, they needed finance help, or they needed HR help. I'd love to do that again. It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but it was great. It was and very rewarding.
Somebody back there? Yes.
Hi, what about transportation on your top 4?
Transportation on
We
your
do
top
work
4.
we do work with Smart Columbus on some things. The pandemic made it an immensely easier commute downtown. Right before, my commute of 22.5 miles, 23 miles, took 50 minutes, 5-0, in good traffic, 2 minutes a mile on average, in good traffic. If there was any accident, it was an hour and 15 to an hour and a half either way. It is a little bit better, but Morpsey, invite William Murdoch as your speaker sometime. From
tried.
Morpsey. You've tried? I'll get him.
I've called him
I'll
and
get him
left
for
him
you.
3 messages.
I'll get
Mr.
him.
Murdoch.
I'll get him for you. Sold.
And
He's great. Morpsey, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, has really taken on transportation, and we're right in lockstep with them. I'll be on the phone with them at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
ask him to return Mike Schedinger's phone call.
Okay. He probably thinks you're trying to sell him a plot of land somewhere.
What was that,
You know?
Mark?
I would like to support that, put my name, Mark Schieber, in there, and hopefully he'll call Michael back.
Yeah.
Mike, okay. That's great.
Yes, Molly.
So when I'm not singing, I actually work with our local film industry here. And it is starting to congeal. It's what a great way to show off Columbus to people outside of Columbus. These are living wage jobs. We have 7 colleges nearby that are all feeding us really talented folks.
We'll support you in whatever way we can. I do want to say when I came on, so it was, I started on March 1st of 16, we immediately launched into a strategic plan and developing a strategic plan. And part of it was, part of the Chamber's downfall, or decline, I should say, was they were trying to be all things to all people. And as the old saying goes, when you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing. So we really wanted to focus on four areas. So we partner with other organizations all the time, but we're talent and workforce development, government relations. I haven't talked about Des Bryant, our vice president. We beat back more bad business legislation than you'll ever imagine. You wouldn't believe the legislation we beat back. We saved $1.1 billion in taxes, in business tax. That's worth a membership if you're not your member. Governor John Kasich put he waived income taxes on the first $250,000 of income for segments of small business. It cost the state $1.1 billion. The legislature tried to cut it out. we hit it hard and testified. It's still, we kept it, and we saved $1.1 billion for our small businesses. So government relations is a huge part of what we do. Making connections. Come to a couple of our events. They're really good. They're gatherings, networking, kind of like what I did down the street before I came to the chamber. But really good stuff. The clam bake is just a riot. It's just, we had 1,224 people. We sold 153 tables of 8 last year, and it's an amazing experience. And the fourth is the affinity programs, the discount. When we have a new member orientation every month, we have like 40 new businesses attend, and the first thing I say is, how would you like to renew for free? And if you come into our health insurance plan or workers' comp discount or any of our other discount programs, you'll more than save what your membership costs. So that's my little
One last question,
plug.
Craig.
For me, the elephant in the room is a lack of focus on manufacturing. We're going to be bringing jobs from overseas back to the United States, getting the chip plant, which is manufacturing, kind of, very high tech. We're so technology oriented, we're drowning in some of the areas you're talking about in certain ways, and we don't have a manufacturing. Is the chamber doing anything about that?
Well, I think sometimes manufacturing jobs are the hardest ones to fill. No kidding. Because, because it's tough work, right? I mean, it's great work, pays well, great benefits, hard to find people. And you're right, manufacturing's changed. If you talk to a manufacturing company, they're not going to tell you they're a manufacturing company. They're going to tell you they're a technology company because they've got cutting-edge technology that makes their manufacturing different from others in their industry or their competitors or around the world. I think we're doing okay. I mean, you look at Amgen, right? Amgen is opening up this huge facility here. We just got the parent company for Harvest Vitamins. Is opening in New Albany. They're going to manufacture vitamins here in New Albany. So we are getting some manufacturers. We are absolutely getting some manufacturers. And we helped one member pivot. It was only 25 employees, but they made chemicals and they started making hand sanitizers during the pandemic and knocked it out of the park. They did great. So it's pockets. You need a good mix. I mean, look at right now. There's no office. There's no office. There are no office relocations going on anywhere in the country right now. So, we have to pivot and look for others. But there is probably more manufacturing than you might think. Amgen is going to be huge. Several other companies, very, very big coming in.
Well, let's thank Don DePerro for being our speaker today. Nicely
Thank
done.
you, Michael Schettinger.
And I know there were some hands we didn't get to. Don just admitted his next appointment's not till 4, so he can stay until 4 if you need to talk to him. But anyway, thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you all so much. So great to see so many friends. Thank you.
How exciting to hear a speaker like that. It's very hard. I mean, it's very hard for me to hear someone so exciting. Thank you, Don. And thank you, Michael, for anyways, but thanks. I really appreciate it.